Welcome to Wedding BFF. My name is Kate Schmidt and I am your host. As a self-taught wedding planner and owner and chief planner for Celebrait by Kait, I am passionate about creating wedding days that are memorable and tangibly feel like the couple that is being celebrated. On this podcast, you will hear from myself and other guests tips on planning, mindfully creating a day that not only looks but feels good, and how to budget your way to the wedding day of your dreams. Now let's get to discussing your day, your way.
Hey all, this is Kate, back for another episode of Wedding BFF. Today, something I wanted to talk to you about is a resource I've created for my clients, specifically this past 2023 wedding season, for a variety of reasons, but it is our wedding week checklist. I'm not going to go through everything that's on it. That's part of the fun of being a CBK client, is having access to this tool. But what I will say is checklists are like the lifeblood of any wedding planning, anything. You know, my clients have a lot on their shoulders and most of my business is day of. So a lot of these things they're doing themselves. And it's really important to think about what those weeks are going to look like. I'm almost thinking about making the 2-week checklist almost, because just like your wedding day, that week, that month leading up is very fleeting and very, very quick. And it's hard to find some time to breathe. So I wanted to talk about how I break down this resource for my clients and why certain tasks are important. Okay, to start, we have 3 categories for the wedding week checklist. The first one is self-care and grooming. The second one is decor and setup. And the last one is packing. I did those intentionally, and then I have another tab that's called post-wedding tasks because it's really easy to forget certain things, and I've seen couples forget certain things that are important. So in order to avoid that and make sure everyone's on the same page, this is really important. To start with self-care and grooming, I put in there are you tanning? Do you need to get your nails done? Do you need to confirm that your maid of honor or whoever, mother, or it doesn't matter who it is able to bustle your dress and understands how to bustle your dress? Maybe one more practice wouldn't hurt, right? Participating in just going for a walk. Like I said, self-care, it's so crazy, and your brain is going to be almost fried at this point leading up to your wedding because there's been so much anticipation work. It's been expensive. It's caused some stress. It's really important to fit something like that in. And breaking your wedding shoes, that cannot be forgotten, okay? I recently tried mine on, and I was pleasantly surprised that they were very comfortable, because I wasn't necessarily going for comfort, but we gotta love a good platform heel for that. You need to break it in. We don't want blisters. Of course, I come with Band-Aids, but no blisters on the wedding day. This goes for everyone too. Especially if you are the groom and you're renting a new pair of shoes, you have to break those in. It's not fun at first. So, for that week, maybe every day you can wear it for a couple hours at home or when you get home from work, whatever that may be. But those are some the self-care grooming things. Do we have shapewear? Are we in a good spot? Are we prepared, from quite honestly an appearance method? Are we ready to go? So the next one is decor and setups. There's quite a bit of setup that happens on your wedding day, right? And if you have a day of coordinator, that means that we are able to set that up and make it come to life. One thing that's really important is packing all the decor and labeling all the decor. And this is one of those tasks that takes a lot longer than you think, but it ensures just no ambiguity and no issues on your wedding day. So I like to see the clear totes, and they, you can either have a label on there or a piece of paper or something and say exactly what's in that tote. So then it's really easy at the end of the night too, when we're packing things up, to put it back where it was or do that to the best of our ability. But additionally, it takes a while, even if you're not doing place cards, if you're just doing table numbers, well, everyone should actually do place cards. I take that back. If you're not doing a specific place setting, or if you have a menu card or whatever it may be, separating those by tables ahead of time is incredibly important. And if you're not hiring a day of coordinator, then you really, really need to do it. I require all of my couples to do it because honestly, most of the people I work with, it's second nature. It's for them just to do it. But I do say I need to see this labeled and ready to rock, and I do ask for pictures usually ahead of time of all the bins and kind of those kind of things, so we can go from there. But part of that also is alphabetizing and organizing those place cards too. You should not expect your day of coordinator to try to alphabetize that while there is a cocktail hour going on, or we have 1 hour for a flip.
That should definitely be done in advance. And, you can also, I would alphabetize it. If it's going to be a display, I would definitely alphabetize it. If it's not going to be a display, I would go just by table and by couple. Then you're fine in that regard. But there's two different ways to approach those place cards. The table where you grab it, it has your number, your entree in the corner, and then they take it to their seats, or the preset place cards are also important. And those ones specifically need to be because I don't know who knows who. I don't know who's married to who. They could be engaged, or they could not share the same last name. Establishing those relationships so it's easy to understand is important. And also having your seating chart ready to go, I would say 2 weeks in advance is really good. And I provide a template for that to my clients where they can specify what, who is it? And, say they're in seat 2. You don't have a specific seat 2. Most of my clients do not say this has to be seat 1, but we know that they're next to either someone they know, a colleague, someone they're married to, someone they're dating, whatever, and keeps it simple that way. I also have a column for dietary restrictions so that can be broken down and easily shared with your venue. And then lastly, it also has a kind of a mechanism where you can highlight based on if they're a VIP or their relationship. So I want to know where, obviously, mother of the bride is sitting, father of the bride, whoever. But I also want to know, is your matchmaker? Do you have a matchmaker that is at the wedding? I'd like to know. That's a significant person. I mean, they're a huge reason that everyone's there that day. So highlighting those significant people is important as well. Yeah, dropping off your wedding decor or setting up a meeting with Celebrait by Kait or your day of coordinator is important. I like to schedule that on the calendar, and then we will usually do that right after our wedding week meeting where we go through everything. And I refined my processes this year to use Google Keep, which is kind of like the Notes app. It's like the iPhone Notes app. But what I really like about it is, it has check marks, which a lot of other apps have too. But I am as we go, I have a morning checklist. I have a setup checklist for the ceremony, a setup checklist for the reception, and then an end of night checklist, depending on your venue and those kind of things. But all to say, having that decor and setup organized is going to make it easier on everyone. And then say you start doing this 2 weeks out, and for some reason you can't find table number 17, you can't find that table number, and you order specific table numbers, this is the time to catch those kind of things as well. So as you're going through your wedding planning, create that stockpile, have it organized. Currently I have all of my specific candles we're using in one section, our taper candle holders, our hurricanes, those kind of things categorized, and then we'll be able to make each table up for our day of coordinator. All right. Packing. Oh, and I totally skipped one of them, so we'll get to that eventually. Packing. So I also give my clients a packing list that they can use. It kind of has a lot of boilerplate things on there, table numbers and menu cards and just the things that I see at most weddings. But it's just as important to make that list, because usually it's not just one person bringing everything. Maybe you're something borrowed or you're something old, it's coming from your grandmother who lives in Ohio. Okay, we need to know that she's assigned to that task, right? That's where it all comes together. And it can be really daunting, quite honestly, to figure out what do I need for the wedding. And that sounds silly, but I say that because there's so many things to think about. Between the apparel, between the decor, between favors, between things for the rehearsal dinner or welcome party or signage, it adds up really quickly, right? And so I think it's really important to have a separate packing list, which is what I do provide for every client. Do they all use it? No. But the ones that do really enjoy it, or they have their own system. There's a lot of ways to do it. One other thing I say, if you're going on a honeymoon right away, pack for that. Pack your ID, pack your passport if you need it. Have a steamer for your wedding day. If you're traveling out of the country, get foreign currency. So that's kind of some of the packing checklists, which goes hand in hand with the decor and setup that we just talked about. And lastly, logistics, aka our favorite thing, and execution. I have on there, honestly, outside of this, finalize your work to-do list for your out of office. Get your out of office ready to go. Confirm your rehearsal timing with the people that need to be there. Maybe we need to remind Aunt Margaret that this is the time and location, and if parking is kind of funky, a lot of the, specifically churches in Milwaukee, parking is street parking, and if you have someone coming in from out of town who doesn't know Milwaukee, isn't used to, a street parking situation, is like looking for a parking lot, then provide those specific instructions. The same thing with rehearsal dinner. Maybe they're not going to the rehearsal, but they're going to the dinner. Confirming that with the venue and with everyone attending. Getting your marriage license. It varies per county and per state overall, I've seen. But the requirements of when you can get it, when you can't. Like I know Jefferson County, you can get, which is in Wisconsin, you can get it a lot sooner than you can in Milwaukee County. You can't even schedule until 30 days out from your wedding. And I think that's just like to avoid bottlenecks in their systems. But your marriage license needs to be packed in a secure place, and your day, if it's not at a church, like your day of coordinator needs to know where that is. And like usually at a church, when you're going to do a rehearsal the day before, they will ask for that, and they handle all of that. My favorite is when their marriage license is handled, because it is a very large responsibility, and it's incredibly important. Like we cannot lose a marriage license, but it's important that we're all on the same page. And I do a lot of non-denominational ceremonies, and where their friend is ordained, or a parent's ordained, whatever, by the internet, and so they're not going to go file that for you. Let's make sure that we know exactly where the marriage license is, and it will be filed accordingly if it's not someone from like a specific church conducting the ceremony. Even non-church weddings, say you have a rabbi coming in to your outdoor ceremony, they should be taking care of that as well, but you have to have it in order to get married. So never forget that marriage license. Finalizing tips and placing them in envelopes is also another thing that needs to be done logistics-wise. Signing with us, we have like a gift card waiver that we have everyone sign. So that doesn't apply to everyone, but essentially it's giving us the authorization to handle gifts, cards, and which usually amount to really expensive items. Prep and deliver your welcome bags if you're doing that. Send final wedding weekend details to your wedding party. Like, here's like just the cliff notes: time, date, location, for a couple different things and what's expected. You can't just expect a save the date or an invitation to do that for you, because there's getting ready, there's different things that happen that are important. Food and beverage for the wedding morning. Okay, I harp on this with my clients because from a wellness perspective, it's really important that you're fueled on your wedding day. And specifically, that morning, like, just go get some bagels. It's okay, you might be nervous, you might not be able to eat very much, but I'm gonna watch you eat and make sure you actually eat, because it's gonna make it worse if you're on an empty stomach or something, especially if we're like having mimosas or whatever. It's only gonna make a nervous stomach worse, and it's very normal and natural and okay to be nervous, but you have to eat. And the other thing that I always say is, like, get some subs from Jimmy John's, or I've seen Jersey Mike's done it before, Jersey Mike's, or just like a bag of that multi-pack from Costco chips, or just a deli platter, whatever it may be, for the in-between of the ceremony and reception. If it does not immediately follow, you need to plan for food and beverage accordingly. Specifically food. I already know you're going to probably have the booze handled, but have that planned, ready to go, because there's a really long gap from when you're eating, potentially as early as like 6 or 7 in the morning, to when dinner is. And like, something commonly forgot about is lunch. So I make sure when I'm writing my timelines for my clients, like, who's providing this? When are we doing it? How's it getting onto the party bus? And things like that. Okay, that's enough about food and beverage. Wrap gifts for each other if you're giving each other gifts. Designate someone for wedding photo roundup duty, I would say, from each side, who knows the depth of all of your relatives. This could be a bridesmaid if they're a family member, or it could be an aunt or a cousin that's not in the wedding party. There's a lot of different ways to do that. I say attend your final meeting with CBK. That's when we go through like into the weeds. Like, we go through the timeline one more time just for clarity's sake. Might even make some final edits. And then we go into all the setup needs. And I have visuals, and I share my screen, and I show them exactly what's planned per table at each location and when it's going to occur. All right. Obviously, you need to pick up your wedding apparel, put together bathroom kits if you're choosing to do that, or an emergency kit if you're choosing to do that. And then lastly, confirm your hotel reservations, flight numbers, and various travel details, even just for even if it's just in the city that you're getting married, just confirm those one more time. It's very old school to do that, but you just never know with technology if it can glitch. And I would do the exact same thing for the honeymoon too, and I would do that before the wedding, so we're ready to rock. And then lastly, arranging transportation and assistance for like elderly guests if that's needed. It's a really nice courtesy if mobility is an issue. So I've seen a bunch of people get like mini like limousine buses things, mini party buses. They're small. They probably fit about 10 people, but even if it's just for parents too, just so they have their own transportation figured out if they're not on your party bus, that's nice too. All right, so that kind of covers most of what I put together for the wedding week checklist itself. Beyond that, the other things that need to be done in the post-wedding tasks, this is the non-sexy side of things, right? Unload and store decor, store gifts. Like sometimes my couples like sit on their bins of decor for months because it's just usually pretty overwhelming if you bring a lot of your decor. There's a lot of things. Ensure you've tipped all your vendors. Filing that marriage license, very important if it's not being done by, a church figure. Sending your thank you notes, freezing your wedding cake if you want to save one of those tiers, dry clean your wedding attire, share sneak peek photos with family, wedding party friends, anyone who really wants to see them, change your name if you are, as morbid as it is, review your will and beneficiaries and life insurance and make sure that that's updated. Unpack from your honeymoon, convert your currency if you have to, if you traveled internationally. Leave vendor reviews. We love vendor reviews, so please review your vendors. And if you're going to do Google, like if it wasn't a 5-star experience, I would almost say don't do it because it really hurts rankings quite a bit. But hopefully you had all, 10-star vendors, and that's great. But leaving those reviews is important. Consider giving personalized wedding gifts to your family, like maybe a large canvas of one of the photos of the family, get that ready. Depending on when you're getting married, you could use it as an excuse for a holiday gift or a birthday. And you also can finish your registry. And many vendors, this is key, they offer a pretty large discount if you buy out the rest of your registry, what was not bought. So I don't know if that's like super well known, but I know quite a few of the registry companies will be like, hey, do you want, I don't even know the percentage, like maybe 20% off if you buy the rest of the stuff on your registry. And it's a way to either you could trim it down right before the wedding day so then you know what you want to buy and put your money into, or add more and get a huge steep discount. That's kind of that for some of the post-wedding stuff. But I do leave blank spots as well for my clients to fill in. More than anything, checklists are just the survival guide for couples getting married, and specifically just having that in one place is wonderful. I have considered putting this on my Etsy shop. I haven't done it yet, so if it's something you're interested in and you already have your day of coordinator or whatever, we're not working directly together, that's something we can definitely look into. So have your wedding week checklist. It's like it's Christmas time right now, so it's like have your list and check it twice and then have fun. So the idea is just to coast into the wedding smooth, ready to go, and as I've told people before, as if you walked in and your brain's like not functioning or you don't have your brain anymore or whatever, because then my team and I will take care of every little last detail. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening. I'm thrilled that you joined us today. Feel free to check out CBK on Instagram at Celebrait by Kait, spelled CELEBRAIT, by, and my name Kait, Kait, as well as various other online channels where we share our sparkle with the world. Thanks again for joining your wedding BFF. Cheers to your day, your way.